All right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Business Strategy Roundtable. Today we have Ryan Wimpey from Tip Top. And oh no, nobody look at my screen use this time. My Tip Top K9. Forgive me for that. My goodness. Joining us, Ryan. Thank you so much for being here.
What is up, Zach?
Man, I read Tip Top and my brain went to TikTok and I
Yeah,
have to solve that for myself.
let's go.
That's a sign of a problem. I got to solve that. I've been really excited about you being here, man, because I think that your entrepreneurial journey is probably one of the more interesting ones out there because dealing with animals is something that's really close to people's hearts.
Yeah.
As you can see, one of my lovely animals that I care about a lot, taking a little peek in behind us, and building a business around that. You have to be very thoughtful about how you're engaging with your customers and the animals. And
Right.
then you have another element of what you're doing, which is interesting, which I think we're going to talk more about. But you guys have some elements of franchising
Yes.
with your business, and I think that's particularly unique. And I can't wait to learn more about it. How did you get started, man?
Well, I think like a lot of dog trainers or even entrepreneurs get started is they have some problem that's giving them a lot of pain in their life, and they become obsessed with this problem and fixing it. I had a rescue dog, and it got me obsessed with dog training. He had all these behavioral issues. He'd bark for hours. 6 months later, he's still peeing all over the carpet. My roommate and best friend's moving out. This was 18 years ago. And it just got me obsessed. Like, hey, what do I need to do to get this little guy manageable? Like, I like this little guy, but he's ruining my relationships. And what are we going to do? He's running away. He's pulling on the leash. He's barking. He's peeing. He's nipping at people. Like, there's got to be a good way to actually manage behavior besides some of the fluffy BS stuff at PetSmart. So that's what really got me obsessed with dog training, led me on a journey. 2010, I went full time, started Tip Top K9, and man, it's been rolling since then.
What did you do before Tip Top Canine? Nailed it.
Yeah, before Tip Top, my parents, they had a construction supply business. It was open for like 54 years.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I did it. My grandpa started it, and I did purchasing and some of the warehouse stuff, like a little bit of everything. It was a small family business. So I did that. Half the time I'm in a cubicle. And once I got involved with some other dog trainers, I was like, well, this is awesome. Dog training is so rewarding and fun. Excel spreadsheets is also cool on power tools that you don't care about. But what was really rewarding was really seeing these behavioral changes in dogs. People get their best friend back. They're not giving their dog up to the shelter. That was like the really big reward. And it actually, actually pays pretty well too.
Yeah, I bet it does. Well, I'm sure that it does. Did you miss working closely with your family, or were there elements of that you appreciated, or were you like happy to kind of spread your wings?
Yeah, I mean, my dad he's a great man. He's a real good man. He was a good father. But business wise, they're competing in construction supply against like Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon. And the model just wasn't set up. I mean, he may have 500,000 items plus that are changing price once or twice a year with a staff of 8 people. That's, I mean, he's competing against really big boys. It was hard to really win. And it was also, they'd been around for so long. It was also hard to niche down without losing customers. So it wasn't my passion. I had zero passion for it. It was just the family business, and I did learn a lot there. That was kind of my first sales experience, purchasing, inventory, stuff like that. So I did get good experience there, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do forever.
Tell me about your experience being a pet owner prior to having a problem dog. Did you have animals throughout your life?
Yeah, I grew up with animals. Like some of my earliest memories are with animals. I remember being like a 5-6-year-old kid. We had this little dog named, not little, but it was a Vizsla named Franny. And we had a swing set in the backyard. I would encourage Franny. She would literally climb up the little wooden stairs and then go to the back of the fort, and I would encourage her, and she would run down the slide and slide down the slide. So she would do everything just like my kid is now 7. He plays with the dog like all day in the backyard. That was me. So that was literally me playing with the dog all day. Next dog, when that one got older, passed. So treat training it, trying to teach it to catch food, roll over, stuff like that. So, but we always had dogs. Everyone in the family was a bird hunter. A lot of people train their own dogs, so was around it ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah. When I read Where the Red Fern Grows, it was gut wrenching, man. That's what I think of when I think of hunting dogs, man. When you transitioned into or I guess let me say this a little bit differently. You realized you had a problem and you wanted to figure out how to train your dog better.
Right.
When did you realize, okay, I have something here that is a bigger business?
Yeah.
Because you've got something wonderful going.
Yeah, we're growing pretty aggressively right now. So I started training like 2007, 2008 for other people. And I was really happy working for other people. Right. All I did was work
really for yourself.
Yeah, I was just training dogs all day, every day. I did none of the administrative stuff at all. No sales, no nothing. And I thought it was great. But they moved. And so I was kind of stuck with, I go back to the cubicle and purchasing, or I start my own thing. And I'd even been to like a seminar, met someone. He's like, oh, I could help you, if you ever want to go out on your own. And I was like, no, I don't. This is great. 60 hours a week. I just train dogs. This is awesome. But then, I had to decide, do I go back to the family business or do I go out on my own? So I said, okay, cool. Well, we'll go out on my own. And so I did that. And the first few years were pretty rough. As most startups are, and people are like, I understand the technical side, but I don't understand the business side. I would say around 5-6 years, once we really started working on systems, my wife came on board. That's when it started to become an actual business. There was more revenue coming through. We got onto like 5 and 6 week wait lists. And then I'm like, okay, I think we have something here. We go on a 5-6 week wait list. We raise price multiple times. There's zero issue. I'm like, okay, I think I'm not the smartest guy in every room, but I think we have something. I think something's going on here. And that's when we started taking it more seriously, reaching out to lots of coaches, consultants, stuff like that. What
was the gut feeling when you were like, I mean, you're being very humble in the way you're saying it. Like, I'm not the smartest guy, but I realized we had something. I mean, really, you were like, oh, wow, we fucking struck gold. What was the gut feeling of like, I have something that I have to handle here and get to hand? It's a double-edged sword. It's like, once the water starts flowing, there's none of that, it's kind of business time. So talk to me about that experience.
Yeah, man, I think so. Like a lot of young entrepreneurs, they're nervous to raise prices. They're like, man, I got to eat and I have this stuff, but it's working. I'll just work harder and do more and I'll just push to 90 hours a week. And so when we raised prices and then we raised them again and nobody dropped off and I realized I'm just underpriced, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So first off, I'm like, okay, so how long have we been underpriced? How far underpriced are we? But that was a huge one. And even now, like my friends that own businesses, it's hard to get them to raise their prices. They don't want to like play with their pricing. And I think that was the biggest thing that lets you know where you're at in the market. Just like, hey, what are they willing to pay? We're offering a good service. It's not like I'm offering trash. We're just exceptional dog training. But that was the biggest needle mover for us because workload stayed the same and profit just went up 40%. Like, let's go.
Yeah. So you were pumped. And then and then you said you were like, okay, so we got to build a business around that. You said you reached out to some folks. What were some of the scarier or more exciting elements of those next few steps once you realized we need to attribute attention here?
Yeah. So the next few steps, the first one was outline the sales process. So I was training other people how to train dogs, and that was pretty good. But working with a sales coach to really outline what I've been doing for 5 years, improve it, and make it to where I could hand off the sales piece. Because I think a lot of owners, they have a hard time especially in a service-based business, they know the service better than anyone else. They have a hard time handing off sales. So got with a sales coach. He was also an executive coach. And he was like, hey, Ryan, if you really want to grow this thing, at some point, you're going to have to put down the leash and put on your CEO hat. You're going to have to stop being just the trainer only. And you're going to have to put on your CEO hat and actually act like a CEO. And it still took me a few more years. We grew our team, made more systems, really worked on digital marketing, et cetera. But I think that was the biggest piece of advice I got that really made a big hit once I actually took it.
Absolutely. Let's go back a little bit, rewind just a touch to where you realize you have this problem dog. You want to solve that. You're an animal lover. You care about your pet. You care about your relationships.
Of course.
Talk to me a little bit about how you got to a level of competency, as I ask you this question from the shadows. You got to a level of competency with your own pet where you felt comfortable then even being able to charge other people at all for it.
Well, so not to rain on your parade, Zach, but I wasn't competent with that pet, and he ended up costing me multiple relationships, and I ended up having to, as a college kid 18 years ago, send him home to live with my mother because I could not train him. And it was so sad. It got me more obsessed with dog training, but I actually didn't get competent. It took me a long time to get competent. Years of training personally on my own, 3 years training with other people before finally. And originally, I would just go after people's dogs, family dogs, friends' dogs, and just be like, "Hey, can I train your dog?" Hey, because I was I became obsessed with training. After that first dog, my mom never gave him back. He was a good dog. He was just like, he was jacked up, dude. He was a little rescue off the side of the road, and he just had serious problems. But it wasn't his fault, and I didn't know how to fix them then. So, I became obsessed, didn't want that to happen. And so working with other people's dogs, I worked for free for other dog trainers. I trained other people's dogs for free. That's really how I got my competency.
Okay. So just hands-on.
Hands-on, man. Yep.
Well, I think, say that again for me.
Dog training is a trade, just like anything else. Like, it's a real trade.
Are there places or people that you learned from?
Yeah, we've worked with, there's not very many schools. Most people, like we have at Tip Top, we have our own training curriculum, training school at corporate, but there's not really many schools. There's a few online ones, but it's mostly working like underneath another trainer, working hands-on.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me about the franchising element.
Yeah.
That's unique. When I think of and maybe I'm just ignorant is the word that I want to use. Maybe I'm just ignorant. But when I think of franchising, or it could just be my perspective, having franchised in the restaurant space, or worked with a franchise in a restaurant space. How did you make that decision and step into franchising? And just talk a little bit about. It's a big step. Dude,
it's crazy. People don't even know. Sometimes people are like, I think maybe I want to franchise my business. And I was like, you better think real hard on that. It's not that easy. And it's hard. It's hard and it's expensive. Yeah. But basically what we did, we started with, 2017, we opened up 6 corporate stores, right? So we went from 1 location in Tulsa to 6 locations, and we ran those for 2 years, and we learned a lot during those 2 years. But one of the things in the dog training world, it's a very low barrier to entry. So basically, Zach, if you're like, hey, I'm a dog trainer now, baby, you go on, you build a WordPress site, you run ads, you put up a plaque, you make a logo, you're a dog trainer, right? That anyone can do it. The barrier to entry is very, very low. So when we thought about the process, like how is this going to go as we go to 10, 20, et cetera, and keep going, we're like, hey, what's the likelihood that this GM is going to stay for 5, 10, 15 years? What are we going to have to do to keep him 5, 10, 15 years? Well, they're probably going to need equity at some point, right? Their skill level is going to grow. They're going to have a hard time with a salary of like $80,000 when they see the P&L and how much is going to corporate. So what we ended up doing is saying like, hey, if we're going to give them some equity, originally I didn't want a franchise. But it just made sense. So instead of giving them some equity, why don't we give them all the equity? And then guess what? Dog training service space, so reviews are huge, right? If they're going to get a bad review now, they don't get a bad review on me and my company. I mean, maybe my brand, but they get a bad review on them and their company, right? So when we give them 100% equity, they take way more ownership. They're more aggressive. They have more in the employee training. It just works a little bit better. It is a harder setup, more of a headache to get all the franchising document going, but overall, it's been working really good. A lot of our locations were like half of them right now were either my employees or people that we've actually trained that opened up a location after it made a transformation with their dog.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Like half of them.
Wow. So Domino's, 95%, and this is statistic they said when I was a part of the brand, so maybe it's changed. 95% of Domino's franchisees, I doubt it though, started as a driver.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to hear that kind of juxtaposition on your side, that a lot of people so much see the value in what you guys are doing that they see a value in doing it themselves.
Right.
What do you think sticks out as a differentiator?
They go, okay, so one of our guys, he owns 4 locations. His name is Adam. 1 in Oklahoma and 3 in Texas. And he paid me $6,000 to train 2 of his dogs. And then he was overjoyed and happy and referred people. And then when we franchised, he went, wait a second. I paid $6,000 and I was happy and actually talked about it publicly. Right. And so he's like, I mean, could I charge people $6,000 and they be happy too? Because if so, I'm an HVAC technician and it sucks in Oklahoma in the summer.
And they're not happy.
And they're not,
I've had some HVAC techs come in and been not fucking happy to have them there.
No, dude, they don't. The customer doesn't. Their customer's pissed. Their AC doesn't work. The tech's in 120 degrees, and so he's doing this full time. Man, he freaking loves it. He was a client. So I think when they see that, they see how happy they are. They did our $4,000 package. They did whatever, and they're like raving fans. Then they're like, well, I mean, that sounds pretty fun. I saw the difference it made in my dog. I didn't have to give my dog up. Maybe I could do that for other people. And some of them just go, and our culture's good. We have cool people.
Yeah. Well, people that like animals are generally quality people in some regard. What do you look for in a franchisee in terms of like, are they going to be productive and successful as a part of the brand?
Yeah. So we normally look at kind of what they're doing now, like work ethic. Really, we try to get them in for a discovery day and train with them for 8 or 10 hours. Because our initial training program is 6 weeks long, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day.
Sorry about that. My cat just stepped on a keyboard there. I got to do some training with this.
Train that cat.
I know it, dude. So I'm so sorry. Please.
No, you're good, man. Yeah, we do real heavy initial training. So franchise-wise, we train more than almost any franchise, training 6 weeks long, 10 hours a day for 6 days a week. So we need somebody. I'll do that. Just that will weed a lot of people out. Like if they don't have the work ethic and we do a 10-hour discovery day, they're going to be like, I'm going to do 6 weeks of this. No way.
Well, you can tell they're just looking for the quick fix. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to I want something easy, but that's not what it is. It's not easy to be a franchisee. No,
it's real work. But like we got a dude, our latest one, he's 21. He's 21 years old. Right. But he's killing it. He was assistant manager at a Starbucks right before this. And he's killing it. He's just running the system. He's just like, hey, this is your playbook. This is what you do. Right. Okay.
Yeah. You got to find the people. That's the thing that I love about the franchise world. And the thing that Domino's taught me a lot, Domino's is awesome. For better or for worse, Domino's taught me a ton. And being able to break process down into the minutia, because you or Dominic, of Domino's, know how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Better than the competitors, right? Which is really the answer. once you have that level of detail, it's just, is the person going to do the behaviors? Are they going to show up and execute? Do they care? Do they have work ethic? Are they willing and able to learn? You can get those three things in a human being, and then you have the rest of the shit figured out.
Yeah.
Because somebody like you, who's, got some visionary qualities, is able to like see what's happening and move through that is when you start to have success in a franchise system like what you guys are doing. And it sounds like you have a good knack for who the right type of people are as well.
Yeah, like we're just talking with a guy right now. He's literally a ranch hand, right? So he's down in Texas, and he's working 80 hours a week. Hard manual labor, but loves dogs. So like, okay, dude, well, you would bring that work ethic to the dog training world. Like, you're going to think this is easy, and his life enjoyment is going to go way up. Yeah. The quality of people he's going to work with is going to go up.
His body probably won't be so beat up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, he won't be so beat up physically. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's cool stuff, man. Okay. Well, let's transition into the topic, or unless there's any other elements of your entrepreneurial journey that I haven't hit on, man. What's the future look like? Let's ask that question before we transition.
Yeah.
Where are you taking this thing, man? You're young, you're a family man, and you're on this journey that's like shooting to the moon. Where do you want this thing to land? We're
going to 100 locations, right? No plans on selling. Don't really. I mean, a lot of these are my people. Like half of them, like I said, these are either my employees or clients from corporate. So a lot of these are my people. No plan on selling. That's not really it. This is lifestyle for us. But going to 100 and really dominating metros. So like right now in DFW, now we have 9 locations and like 35 grand of ad spend a month. So as far as dog trainers, if you're a dog trainer in Dallas and you want to hang the shingle, you're going to have to pay a pretty heavy price to compete against the guys in yellow.
Right.
And so just repeating that in the biggest metros in the US to start to have a national presence. Because right now, starting to get some presence in the Midwest, but no market share like a 40% Domino's has. Right. Yeah.
I got one more question before we transition into juxtaposing people and pups. Tell me about the logo. I heard you just say if you want to compete with the guys in yellow,
yeah,
you might have said it differently, but that it means something to you. So tell me about how you chose the logo and the coloring. I'm a Steelers fan. I don't think it possibly is that, although I wish.
Yeah, it's not a great feeling. It's definitely not it.
No, that's okay.
Well, anyway, so basically, 2009, I was like, okay, I'm going to paint this van a color and then write the logo on the van. What color should I choose? And I wish I had a deeper answer for you, Zach, but just being real. So I started looking at different marketing studies, billboards. I came across all these billboard studies, and it seemed the color that stands out the most is a yellow background with black lettering as the number one eye-catching. People remember it the most as they drive down. So I said, okay, well, if that's the number one, then I will make my shirt a billboard, and I'll wear this every day, all the place. I don't wear it for date night anymore, but until I made I think probably 200 grand a year, I wore this literally to date night. Literally. Yeah. And so I painted the van yellow. I made the logo black, and that was it, man.
It's a good logo, dude.
Yeah.
Not to just, but it's a good logo. All right. I'm going to click my little thing, and we're going to transition into topic of the day. So, Ryan.
Yeah.
You probably have both experiences of training people and training dogs. I have trained no dogs. But I have trained a decent amount of people.
Yeah.
So I guess let's break this open. Start for us. What are the important things that you need to execute to effectively train a dog? And then I'll throw some things out there about people.
Absolutely. First, when you train people, you have to have a system. You have to have an outline structure of what you need them to do. Second, there has to be some sort of accountability. right? If you give them a system or process, they need to know that they have to implement it, and that they're responsible to implement it. Finally, there's the motivator, whether it's pay or whether it's something else. There has to kind of be that carrot and stick, some sort of approach for motivation. That's kind of for both of them, right?
Absolutely.
The difference I see, and I want to hear your opinion, but the difference I see is the dogs, they're operating on a much lower level mentally, emotionally, right?
Yeah.
So the dog has no problem working at his potential if you can make him. The human, we just had a guy had to let go at corporate, tons of potential, just told him straight up, hey, dude, you're not at your potential. If you keep bringing your C game, like, you will be cut and you won't work here. And he's like, well, no, we don't go there. We don't go there. I'm just letting you know, I see your potential. That's why you're brought on. If you don't want to perform there, you're not going to work here. And he got cut. The dog doesn't think like that. The dog doesn't make excuses for their behavior. Humans do.
That's really interesting. That's a really, really interesting point. So you're not only working against the behavior with the human,
right,
but you're also working against the way they're perceiving their own behavior.
Yeah, because if you work with enough humans, you can tell when someone's got it and they can be a rock star. But that person gets to decide.
Right.
They get to decide if they want to step up to the plate and actually work hard and do something great with their life, or if they just want to make a lot of bad decisions and suck. Totally on them.
It's totally on them.
Yeah.
But with the dog, it's a lot more on how you choose to create a framework for them.
Correct. If I create a framework for the dog and I shape those behaviors, I can mold the dog, because the dog doesn't have that higher level thinking and that motivation problem that the human does. Dogs don't make excuses.
Dogs don't make excuses, and they're already motivated. They're motivated by the...
Well, so they're motivated by a lot of things. And number one, their instincts and their DNA are going to shape their motivation.
That's what I was trying to say, but the words were just...
So their DNA, their instincts are going to shape the motivation. So the Basset Hound is going to be motivated differently than the Labrador, right? Different DNA, different instincts.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I think that people are motivated by different things, obviously, depending on how they're raised, or depending on, communities, what community holds is important. If you played sports versus not, if you had pets versus not, there are all sorts of things that motivate people differently. And I talk a lot with business owners about that motivation piece, because a lot of the times an individual who's running a business will put what the outcome they're motivated by in front of the individual, as opposed to the outcome that motivates the individual. And what we have to do in those circumstances is create bonus programs that actually motivate the behavior that they're looking for, instead of using the outcome as the motivator. So, for instance, in the pizza world or in the restaurant world, sometimes you would motivate the behavior around food costs with a goal of a specific food cost. But that doesn't motivate the behaviors that result in highly trained people that produce and don't waste food effectively. And the behaviors that you get out of the individual managing can be a lot different. Do you ever run into circumstances in your world, either with people or dogs, where you have to really define the motivator, or do you find that you don't have to do as much defining and you do more sorting?
So, hard question. So we do both. So I get trainers from other locations and they come to corporate, and my guys have to train them, and they didn't get to pick them. Right. So like in a few weeks, we'll have people come here for training. September, we'll get 20, 30 people for an event, but they're not my people. They're someone that's another location is picked. So in that case, we can't sort them. For us personally, at corporate, I'm going to sort and pick the motivated people. Even there, though, we have people that have high security needs, people that have high commission, like sales type people. Those two people are very different. The guy that wants to be on sales full time and is commission hungry versus the security needs individual that maybe wants to be a great assistant manager, those guys have to be treated very differently. Early on, I did not do good at that. My wife, she manages corporate staff of like 32 people. She does very good at that. And I'm like, okay, well, put them all on commission. Put everyone on commission. That's the best way to do it. Then everyone will want to perform, right? And she's like, no, not so much. And I'm like, what do you mean not so much? They'll make more money if they do better. Who's not going to want to do that? It seems like a lot of people.
Yeah. You and I think the same way. I think we're both maybe type A a little bit, or eager might be the better word.
Yeah.
Some people, that pressure makes it harder to perform.
Yep.
And that's,
that's not me.
It excites me,
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
Let's figure the fuck out. It's like a problem. But other people, it's like, oh God. But that makes sense. That's intuitive of your wife to identify that. I would love if you could talked about two basic things.
Yeah.
Expectation setting and accountability.
Right.
Those are two things that are like really key with people. And those things fall on the responsibility of the manager or the trainee, I'm guessing in the dog world. Can you talk to me a little bit about expectation setting with the pups and expectation setting with the peeps?
Oh, that's good.
I'll give you an example of maybe some of my expectation setting.
So expectations with the pups, they're going to be some dogs. I may get them coming off leash and doing stays in 2 hours. Some may take 5 or 10. It depends on the maturity of the dog, the age, the stubbornness, the breed. Like an Afghan hound or a Basset hound may be intelligence challenged, right? Where a Labrador or Border Collie may be picking up stuff really fast. So I have to be patient with some dogs just because of the breed. People-wise, I say, okay, it should take you 6 weeks to be able to do this A, B, C, X, Y, Z with a dog. This is what week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 should look like. If we're not here by week 6, this might not be a good fit for you, or you're going to have to come in extra hours starting about week 4, so we can try to make sure you hit that. If it's not there, you're either going to be cut, or if your team fit's good, if your attitude's great, you understand the theory, you're just not getting it yet, then we might make an exception. And we try to set all those expectations way up front, so the individual's clear on what they need to do, and then the manager's clear on what expectations they're actually managing.
Right.
Yeah.
I love both of those things. I think that the only thing that I would add, I think that's exactly right. Put them up front, make them understand what it is they're going to be measured on, so that the measuring isn't surprising or scary, yes. And then, they can have the choice as the individual engaging as a person, whether or not they want to continue engaging once you've made expectations clear. Now, that's not the same thing with the animal, but then they sort themselves.
Yes. I mean? Yeah, that's good.
I tell people, sometimes people really struggle with hiring, because they're like, oh, I've got this need in my business and I got to find these people. And there's like all these different pieces that maybe aren't a strength. Where do I find these people? And they're worried about like, well, what if I turn them off and they don't want the job? But the reality is you just need to set that expectation.
Yeah.
Really, really up front. Don't hire somebody
Right.
under the guise that they're going to do A, B, and C, and then all of a sudden you're like, and I need you to do D too, and D is clean the toilets, and or whatever, right?
Right.
And now you've got a problem. Set those expectations up front.
It's good.
What about accountability?
Yeah. Accountability is pretty big. We have our managers, assistant managers. Everyone kind of knows who they report to. When we didn't have stricter accountability, like they know time frames. So we do board and trains where we take the dogs and train them. And 90% of them should be within that time frame. Some of them, like I said, breed specific. Some breeds we have to be more patient with. If it's a Mastiff, I can't work it 2 hours straight. Maybe 40 minutes is all it's got, and it's got to take a long break, or a Dane. But there's general times where I have to be like, hey, this is what's required. And then we just have to make sure managers are following up.
Right. What does follow-up look like?
Yeah. So follow-up looks like, in the dog training world, literally hands-on inspection. So someone trains the dog, the manager's taking the dog. So here's my checklist. It's broken up into 5 blocks. Block 1, come in place, should be done in 2 days, right? There's like 4 different commands. And the next block has 4 commands in a certain day frame. And so every day the manager is just getting the dog out, working it for 3 or 4 minutes. And they're seeing if the training that the trainer did is transferring instantly to someone who didn't train the dog in 3 to 5 minutes. And if it doesn't, then that dog's not sign-offable, and the trainer needs to stay on there. So the expectations are very clear. The manager's going to check that dog every day or 2. And then the client does not care how much work we do if we go back and the dog doesn't work for them. So I need the manager to check the dog, right? Wow, shocking, right? Yeah. But I need the manager to check the dog, and I need instant transfer.
That's one of those moments where if you as visionary sitting back can see that the motivator for the furthest out member of the team, just like the most basic trainer, their pay, the amount of hours that they work, isn't directly equal to what the goal is, which is a perfectly trained dog. And we used to run into that in the Domino's, or I need to stop saying Domino's, but in the restaurant world as well, because you want to make the customer wants a perfect pizza. The franchisee wants the customer to be as happy as possible. Absolutely. But sometimes the pizza maker just wants the pizzas off the screen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that relationship between like time and outcome.
Yeah.
Like, the dog's not trained. I don't care if you spent 40 hours playing with the damn thing. It doesn't sit. You know what I mean? Like, gotta create outcomes.
Right.
How do you hold the dogs accountable when you're training them and they don't achieve outcome? And how do you do it with the people? I mean, it's probably a pretty big difference, but what are you creating for the dog, and what do we have to create for people to like actually be able to effectively hold them accountable?
To hold them accountable is, for dogs and people both, really it's expectations. So if I'm training a dog versus one of my guys and I put in 4 times as many reps with a dog in an hour, and he says the dog's not smart and he's just working the dogs 4 times slower than I am, we have an expectations issue. This is the pace that I'm expecting you to work with this dog, or this is the pace that this dog can handle, etc. But this is why the checklist helps with those expectations, because we know, hey, if most dogs can do it in a day and a half, save whatever time frame that we need them to do, and we give you 2 days, the expectation is if it's not done, you didn't manage your time well, or you didn't actually put enough repetitions in, right? Or the worst one is or you weren't clear. The dog's not clear on what you want them to do, in which case we need to go back to just more training basics.
So you hold them accountable for the result.
Yes, we have to. The result is all our end client cares about.
Right. And that's the accountability focus for you. It's not about if result isn't achieved, we do X, Y. It's not carrot and stick. So much as it is.
It's conditioning.
Yeah.
Is the result conditioned or is it not? So like I tell my guys, hey, the dog doesn't lie. Like when I say sit, the dog doesn't lie. He's sitting or he's not sitting. He gets it or he doesn't get it. It should be black or white. right? He's not he might be a smart dog, but they're still capping out around a 2.5-year-old child's mentality. Right. So when I take the dog and I walk him on a leash, he either pulls, in which case he doesn't know heel yet, or he walks by my side. It's going to be one of the two. So for me, I'm like, hey, the dog doesn't lie. He either gets it or he doesn't. Either you were clear with him or you weren't. If you weren't clear with him, cool. Let's retrain him. But then we need to know, like, hey, if you did all these hours on the dog, why weren't we clear?
So I adore that as effective accountability. And the reason that I do is because it hands the discomfort into the lap of the individual that owns it. Yeah. It's not you're bad. It's not what did you do wrong. It's not, it's this is the result that you got. And you're my trainer. And my expectation is X and you have delivered Y. And we need to figure out why that is the case.
Yes.
Because we can't do that. And it gives them the autonomy and the ownership of I own this problem and I get to work to solve it. Yes. And it also allows for the conversation to be had without you ruling. You're working with them.
So good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, this is the outcome we got. I need to work with you so we get a better outcome. So many people get caught up in accountability of like, well, you didn't. And they kind of take that where it's not supposed to go. If you're the leader,
right?
Like if you're the trainer of a dog, if they didn't get it right, you got to get them to get it right. And that's on you as the trainer.
Right.
If you're training people and they're not getting it right, there might be circumstances you need to figure out, but don't take a ruler approach.
Right.
Figure out what is going on and why, because that's where your agency as a leader is, from my perspective.
Yeah. I think when you said like, hey, you're giving them the autonomy and ownership, I mean, earlier on, I did try a little more of the ruler thing, which only works when you're really small, or if you want to just be crazy and lose your mind. But the more we give them the autonomy and ownership, like you said, it creates them thinking. They are forced to think. They're not robots. I want people that think. Like I want people, like my people, I tell them like, hey, if you think I'm wrong, you challenge me. I want you to challenge me. I do not want my ideas to win. I want the best ideas to win. Right. But when they get that autonomy and ownership, like I said, I think those are key words because they become thinkers and as soon as they get that ownership, you're going to get better results.
And some people are good at things that you're not good at. And I'm saying you as the general you, for sure. Like you, me, anybody. And if you give somebody the autonomy to solve a problem, and then they'll solve it how they're good at solving problems. And you maybe never seen them solve a problem in the way they solve problems. And you could have a result from a trainer or a franchisee or a pizza maker. You look over and you're like, oh my God, did he just stretch it with his elbow? I've never seen that shit before. He even washed those elbows, but that was fast. You know what I mean? Like whatever, right? It's a good example, but you might see something and be like, wow, okay, well now that's innovation. That's where innovation comes from.
Yeah.
Is when people are given the space to problem solve with autonomy.
Yeah. We've had a few of our techniques we've added into our system that were from other trainers, not me. And a few of our most profitable packages were not my idea.
You've got to be able to take other ideas. I love that. Talk more about what you just said, because I want to highlight it specifically about I don't want the best, or I don't want my idea to win. I want the best idea to win. Just lay that out as a philosophy for folks.
Yeah, I don't want my idea to win. I want the best idea to win. Early on, I'd try to crush other people's ideas because they weren't mine, until I realized one of my guys, he had a technique he was doing on downstays, and the dogs were doing better, faster than mine. And then I'm like, whoa, wait a second. He does have something there. Right. On the marketing team too, like I'm like, hey, if you have an idea for a video or a thumbnail or something else, and you have an idea that you think is better than mine, or I need you to push back, right? I need you to push back. I want people that think. Like some of the people are going to be smarter in an area than I am, right? If I was super smart, I wouldn't have to hire so many coaches and consultants all the time, right? So,
and if they are wrong, they're sharing with you their perspective so that you can guide them from where
So
they
good.
are. If you don't listen to your team when they disagree with you, well, then it's like, well, I don't care where you're at. You just need to be where I am. It's like, well, that's not
good.
leadership. Go find them and bring them to where you're at, or go where, like,
That's
is base
killer.
camp here or is it here? Get there. Get where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, man. I love that. Yeah, because you can't fix them if you don't know where they're at. You can't lead them to a higher place if you don't know where their current frame is at all.
And assuming, I mean, I hate to make when you assume, and a lot of people in management will assume because they're afraid of opening up the uncomfortable conversation. Well, what if they get pissed when I address them? Or what if they say X, Y, and Z? Or what if they, what if it's that they something bad and they're going to a different job, and like whatever fear-based thing preventing you from having the conversation.
Right.
A lot of people will just assume, well, they're probably just leaving in a month and I'm going to hire somebody else, and then that creates internal turmoil because you didn't actually open it up and find out where they were or whatever.
Right.
There's this fucking
yeah, I tell them our team, like my social media team, I'm like, hey, I just need you to be right like 80% of the time. Like 20% of the time, if you bomb it, I mean, we can probably fix it.
We can fix it.
Yeah, it's okay. But
good process. Good process makes it easy to mess up.
Yeah.
Or safe to mess up. It makes it hard to mess up, but safe when you do. Because if you stay, if you've already done the hard parts of learning how to train dogs in these circumstances, right. You've already had to dodge the bites. You've already had to whatever, right? Then you know how to tell the people how to avoid it. And the lane of danger when there's process is less, because if you stay within the guidelines, good things will happen. It's when those guidelines aren't even created that people can kind of create some issues.
Yeah, that's the whole point of franchising. It's just those guardrails. So I can bring in someone like Brock, our newest, youngest owner. He's 21, and he can stay within these guardrails and actually build a business that he started for under 50 grand because he has guardrails. If you have a 21-year-old with no guardrails, crazy things are going to happen. Like, come on, you were 21, I was 21. But if
there are guardrail, I'm 30. If you don't put a guardrail up, I'll get a little kooky on you.
Yeah, guardrails are good.
Oh yeah. I think we've ping-ponged this back and forth on the training people, dogs conversation pretty well. Are there other thoughts that I haven't touched on yet as it relates to kind of juxtaposing people and dog training that we should touch on before we start to make our way towards wrapping?
I don't think so. I think the about covers it all.
Tell us about how people can work with you guys on the dog training side and on the franchising side, because I think both are tremendous elements of your business.
Yeah, if you have a dog needing some behavioral work, basic obedience, off-leash obedience, if you want it to be a service dog, our website's tiptopk9.com. It's tiptopk9.com. You can click on the franchising tab if you want some more information about that. Fill out the form, and one of our team members will get in contact with you. I'm on LinkedIn, Ryan Wimpey. That's the only place I'm at. If you want to hit me up, that's where I'll be.
All right, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and perspective. This is a lot of fun.
I appreciate your time, sir.
Hell yeah. Next week, we have my new friend, Sumati, joining us. She's building technology in the cooking space, utilizing AI. So we're going to be having a conversation about what technology is changing in the world of cooking and back-of-house kitchen stuff. So hopefully folks will join us next week, and make sure to check out our events calendar on Triunity Strategies /events for more workshops and great opportunities to learn. Again, Ryan, thank you so much for being here, and happy Tuesday. Bye, everybody.
See you.